Hi, everyone. I'm Nancia Leath, and I'm a licensed mental health therapist. When I think about my reason why I decided to become a licensed therapist, the first thing I think about is my family. My brother, he is, addicted to alcohol. However, I remember my mom and father adopting a child in our home, and I didn't understand why. She was my cousin, but she came in at the age of 2, and I said, Mom, why we have another child? What's going on? We already had like 4 kids in the house. I said, why we adding another one? And all three of us was all in the same room. And my mom told me her mom was addicted to cocaine. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is cocaine? And trying to figure out, she said, baby, that's drugs. And so when she told me that, I was like, drugs. And I didn't understand the magnitude. However, I just knew her mom was always gone. She would come in and out. She would drop my cousin, now I call my sister, she would drop her off. And the last time she dropped her off, she was saying, I'm going to get some bread. And she never came back. And so when I think about the stories and my family, and then when I had the opportunity to volunteer, first I just volunteered in the environment. I volunteered at a residential center, and I loved it. And I said, you know what, I want to work part-time, because during that time I left the corporate world and I was home for about a year or so because I had my first child, and I wanted to see what it was like to be an at-home mom. But I hated it because I love people, and I'm an extrovert, and so I love interacting with people, and I gain a lot of my energy from people. And so I started that, and then next thing I knew, I started working. I got hired, and after that situation, I went back to school to get my master's, and then I got my doctorate, because I found myself in my calling. Mm-hmm. And so today, when I interact and I help people move from one place to the next place and see them living their full life or their calling, I know I'm doing what I'm called to do. And today I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. I'm excited that we're going to talk about fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Oh, wow. That is so, just exciting to hear. Nancia, that your story was just heartfelt and just amazing just to hear the background and where you are today and the topic that you're talking about. Tell us, having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, you being in that situation, how did you have a growth mindset coming out of that predicament you were in?
Be honest with you, I cannot honestly say I had a growth mindset during that time, or during, especially growing up, because we was taught to have more of a fixed mindset with my parents. So they would call me, okay, you the smart one. We know you're going to do well in school. And they would tell my brother, he's slow. They would say things like that to make us believe that we were stuck in that position. And so I was a perfectionist. So if I did not do well, or if I didn't meet that mark, I felt like I was less than, and I guess I had a hard time acknowledging my value. And so when you have a fixed mindset, you deal with self-esteem issues. And so during that time in my life, I dealt with a lot of self-esteem issues. However, as I went into college, I was able to realize, I was able to, I guess, not be around my parents. My parents was awesome now, don't get me wrong, because they taught me well. They, encouraged me to be a hard worker. They did a great job. However, based on how they was brought up, they also implemented that in the household. And I had to learn how not to be so hard on myself. And by becoming a therapist, be honest with you, was like therapy for me to a degree. And I didn't even know I needed it. Going through the classes, I thought everybody else needed it. And then, but that's that fixed mindset. You think, because yes, I was encouraged by my parents because I performed, because I did my best to cross every T and dot every I. However, when I made a mistake, I was very hard on myself, and not knowing that's part of growth, not knowing you going to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's part of your story. And so because of that, I may not experience a lot of things because I was so strict with myself. However, that also protected me. But at the end of the day, I had to reprogram myself in order to have a growth mindset. When you have a growth mindset, you're able to see your mistakes as a blessing and not as a curse. You're able to see that you can learn from this and grow and do more, in order to develop who you desire to be, and not just feel like you just stuck in that situation. And when you're able to have a growth mindset, at the end of the day, a person that may deal with addiction, I'm thankful I've never dealt with addiction. However, I'm able to encourage other people that may deal with it and let them know they don't have to be stuck there. Mm-hmm. So what, you've been there for 5 or 20 years, there's different things that we can do to reprogram your mind. There's different things that we can do to show you how to change different habits and show you what it feels like when you're having those cravings, and show you what to do in order to fight against it instead of submit to it. As well as work with people that may deal with anxiety or deal with bipolar or deal with different mental health disorders, showing them you do not have to stay there. You don't, yes, you may be on medication for a particular time. And even with medication, there's times that you have to change it because of your body chemistry. So let you know that there's different things that you can do in order to still thrive, in order to still be successful in your life. And not just in business, but also in your relationships, as well as with your finances, or I guess all areas in your life. And understanding that wherever you are, there's still another way for you, or there's still different things that you can do in order for you to grow.
Wow, I think that is awesome. I am so glad that we're having this conversation, because we've been talking about a mental wellness mindset. And it seems like to me that whether you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, it could probably be a barrier to you having a mental wellness mindset.
Yes.
So is it possible for you to give us maybe some examples or characteristics of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset?
Oh, yes. A great one is, especially, to be honest with you, most people that may deal with depression usually have a fixed mindset. Mm-hmm. So basically, they replay the same thoughts over and over again, which cause their feelings, their emotions to go down. So for an example, if they didn't get a job, they would tell themselves, oh, I'm not good enough. And they, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm worthless. Mm. Oh, no one, why should I even be here? And then they go deeper, lower. Then sometimes they may have suicidal thoughts because they're that fixed mindset. However, a person with a growth mindset, if they didn't gain that job, they may say, you know what, that's okay. You know what I can do is polish more on my interview skills. Mm. Or what I can do is I can go back to school. They're looking for this, or, I can do something. I can go in an entry level field and get more experience. What they do is, what can I do so I can reach that goal? Instead of, feel like they are fixed, they're stuck, and there's no more movement, which compared to the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset.
Wow, that is great. Oh, I love that. So are there any types of skills that we can utilize, especially people as parents, that they can help their children while their children are young to be able to start with a growth mindset?
Oh, that's a great question, because I honestly believe it should start at a young age. For an example, if a child comes home with a bad grade, even if they start to learn how to read, and they may have problems with phonics, you let them know, that's okay, sweetheart, or son, over time, you're going to get there. So let's just practice on your phonics. Let's practice on pronouncing the words, but you're going to get there. We all started somewhere, not saying, oh, you're just not going to learn how to read, or we just, we don't have hope for you. And it's funny you said that, because even with my son has a learning delay. And when I would go to the school, we'd have our meetings, and I love when the teachers would come, they would tell me everything he could not do. And I said, okay, I understand that. So what are you doing to make sure he can get to where he needs to be? And I will always throw that. And they, the first time they met with me, they looked dumbfounded. They're like, what in the world? So next time when that came, I told them, I said, this is what I need from you when we have these meetings. I need you to tell me where he started and where he is today, and what you have done in order for him to get from A to B. Because at the end of the day, you're here to teach him. I already know where he is. That's why he's in school. I know he learns differently. I know he may have difficulties, processing. So what can we do to make sure we do things for where he is, not where you want him to be, or based on other children? Let's help him where he is, because I know he's going to be able to get to where he needs to be. Because at one time, one teacher thought he wanted to be able to read, and now my son when he reads now at a 12th grade level, but he was reading at 11th grade level. He was in 9th grade. But by us believing that he could do it, having a growth mindset, and not believe what the teachers had, a fixed mindset, we was able to help him read books. And he loved books. He walks around with books, and that's something that he does well. So I'm thankful that we do have a mindset based on some of the teachers. So that's great you said that. However, as a parent, the thing is encouraging your child. Let them know you may start here, but I promise you, if we keep working, we do different things, this may not work for us. Let's find something else that may work for us, because right now you are an individual. Let's approach you as an individual and not approach you like another child, because we don't have to compare you to another child. You are special in how you are wonderfully made. And so encouraging that child and speaking life in that child, and let them know it doesn't matter if you make a 40, it doesn't matter if you make 100. At the end of the day, did you do your best? And what can we do next time so we can improve? You may start off with a 40, but I promise you by the end of the year, we may have a 70. But at the end of the day, was that your best?
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It really spoke to my heart. And this interview is certainly not about me, but you just really tapped in something, because I love the way you said my son had a learning delay. I know that my son had a learning delayed too. And so I know that speaking that language of positivity, not ignoring the fact that maybe, he is struggling, he's not getting it like some of the others, but building his confidence up and making him feel like he has a growth mindset and not being stuck. So I really appreciate that. I know there are some simple steps that we could possibly share with parents or caregivers who have maybe not been used to having a growth mindset. Are there maybe 3 to 4 steps that they can do to create that environment?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. That is so good. I'm so happy you asked that, because there are different steps that we do encourage our clients. However, what we do, we may not start with these steps in the same order. It really depends on where they are. They're motivational, because we do like a motivational test to see the most motivational level. If they're in denial, we have to first show them that they, that right now you're in a fixed mindset. And they're like, what you mean? They may become offensive. So we have to show them and train them the difference. And then give them different examples, and then have them do like an assessment, give like a chart of different behaviors that show a fix compared to a growth, and they would check off, and then that helped them believe, okay, I am doing this. Okay, how can I change it? Then we're ready for those steps that we're going to talk about now, because now the person believes that they can change. And the 4 steps I have for you: first, you have to hear the mindset voice, that fixed mindset voice. So for an example, the voice of a fixed mindset, like Joyce asked earlier, how can you tell, or what's examples of a fixed mindset? For an example, if you're driving and you went the wrong way, and you would tell yourself, some people may say, oh my goodness, I'm a dummy. People do it, or they may say, what's wrong with me? Or stuff like that, no, that's your fixed mindset voice. Your growth mindset voice would be, you know what? I'm not focusing right now, but so next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure when I get to a landmark, I'm going to look where I'm going, just say things like, just remind yourself, yes, I may have done this. You acknowledge it, because you don't want to know it, in denial. I acknowledge that this is what I'm going to do next time, so I won't go the wrong way. I'm going to find a landmark. Or instead of me being on the phone talking, I'm going to make sure I'm a little more focused and get off the phone. Do different things so I can make sure I'm staying on task. And not beat yourself down, but identify the problem and fix it, because at the end of the day, you're not a dummy. At the end of the day, that you're not losing your memory, because you start speaking stuff like, oh my goodness, I'm getting old, I'm losing my memory, instead of saying that, this is the thing I'm going to do to make sure I can help myself remember.
Oh, I love that.
And the second step would be recognize that you have a choice. And so first you recognize the voice, and the next thing you know, you do have a choice. I mean, you don't have to remain in the place you are in. I know some, people may say that, physically, you may be in a wheelchair and you may, tell yourself like, I'm stuck, I may not be able to walk, but at the end of the day, you can build your arms if you still have, and so you can even move your wheelchair even faster. At the end of the day, you're not stuck. You may be, I guess physically you may, however, there's different things that you can do to work around, especially if you desire speed. So you look at it, even though I maybe can't walk, I promise you I can beat you in a run. You find different things.
I love it.
To encourage yourself and let you know. And at the end of the day, that will also help you mentally as well as emotionally. The third step was talk back with a growth mindset voice. So you talk back to yourself. So basically, I guess I gave you the steps earlier. Like if you do have a negative voice, if you hear, you identify, you come back and you approach it with a growth mindset. So you replace that negative thought with a positive thought or something that'll help you grow. And then the step 4 is take growth mindset actions. So when for an example, if a child may have done, may have done well on their first test, you let them know. If you keep reading, if we study, add some more hours studying, instead of, studying 2 hours, we may have to add a couple more hours. That may help you, improve your grade, or ask more questions, or do sample tests. Create some tests on your own to help you learn and help trigger the information. So when you see keywords, that'll help you select the right answer. So you do different things so you won't be stuck in the situation. So I'll repeat the steps for you. So the first one is acknowledging the fixed mindset voice. Mm-hmm. After you acknowledge the fixed mindset voice, the number 2 will be recognize that you do have a choice. Number 3 is talk back with the growth mindset voice. And then the last one is recognize that you do take action with growth mindset actions.
I'm over here taking notes. So people, I'm over here taking notes because it is just so vital to having mental wellness. Mm-hmm. This just marries so well with the steps. With first, just acknowledging it. And I love the having conversation back. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was trying to, run and get to 3 miles, and mm-hmm. I'm just saying, this is just so hard. But after I changed my language and said, Catherine, you can do it just one day at a time. Just keep pushing. If you keep doing it one day, you're going to get better and better. And so it just to have, when you hear that thought come up on, you got to denounce it and then have that conversation with yourself. I love that. So yes, I'm super excited. Can't you tell?
Oh, I love it. I love the example you use too with the running, because that's funny. When you first start off exercise, you get so tired. And you got to tell yourself, you know what? I may feel this way right now, but if I continue to do this 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, like, oh my God, I couldn't even walk. Now I can run a mile. So yes, that is so good. And it's funny, it was a test. Did a test on some students, and they gave them a difficult puzzle. They had one student said, oh, I love a challenge. That's a growth mindset. The fixed mindset, like, these are too many puzzles. Oh, I can't do this. And so you saw the difference. And so the person that felt like it was the child that felt like it was too many puzzles, he never completed. But the child that said, I love a challenge, he was able to complete the difficult puzzle. So the idea or the example you gave was so good to encourage, especially if we're dealing with our weight. Because I know right now during this corona, I'm enjoying my cake. I'm eating up something, and I'm not in the gym like I usually, and so I have to use that growth mindset. Like, okay, yeah, I'm enjoying myself here, but at the end of the day, I still trying to find ways to work out. There's still a way to incorporate working out. So now what I do now is encourage myself to work out with a group of people. So I have a person going live, in my group, and so we all work out together in order to have that growth mindset, because that also helped me, because I know that helps me to work out, instead of by myself. Because by myself, I know I find a way to get out of it.
Well, yeah, speak to that a little bit more about having a community of around you to help you to have a growth mindset.
Yes, it's very imperative to have people that also have a growth mindset, because if you're around people that have a fixed mindset, I promise you will start thinking, even if you start off with the growth mindset, because after a while, who you around is what you become. So it's very imperative that you're around people, or you encourage people in your circle to speak growth. If you hear them say something that's a fixed mindset, you say, you know what, that's more of a fix. However, I believe you can do this or that in order for you to get to that place. It may take you a little longer. However, there's still another way for us to accomplish a goal we desire to accomplish. The key thing is not giving up.
That is, oh my goodness, this is so timely and such good information. What I thought about when you were talking is it possible to have a growth mindset in certain areas and a fixed mindset in another area?
Good,
Yes,
Joyce. I
yes,
love
yes.
that.
Oh, yes. Yes, honey, because I do. I have sometimes I have growth and I have to fight to get, or there's also some I have fixed and I have to fight to get to that growth mindset. And the key thing is being able to identify that voice. And so, yes, there are different, I believe we all have areas, and because we all in work in progress.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when we think about that, I'm also thinking about the behavior change. This sounds like a behavior change would be your outcome when we look at changing from a fixed to a growth mindset. So if that's the case, I know we can't say specifically during your 4-step process, but when do we get to see that behavior change?
Oh, that's good,
To be honest with you,
Joyce.
the behavior changes when you start taking growth mindset actions, which is the 4th step. When you start, because even though most of the time, most people try to take the action steps, but they go back to their old ways because they have not honestly changed their mindset. However, when you're able to change the mindset and when you start the growth action steps, you usually maintain those growth mindset because you already changed the mind. So, so you will see the outcome after you start taking those steps, the growth mindsets action steps, which is the 4th step.
Okay, that's really good. Okay, so Dr. Nancia, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and I think I read this before, I'm not really sure. Her name is Carol Dweck, Dweck. She's a psychologist, I want to say from Stanford University. And I think she's one of the ones that created this whole growth mindset thing. And so,
Yes.
and I remember reading some statistics about 40% of individuals have that or believe that they have that growth mindset. Like so they're leaning. So when you explain to them the difference, they feel like they have that growth mindset, but really that 40% was more so having that fix. So my question is, how do you get to the point where you know that you're having a growth mindset over a fix? Is it because of that behavior? Does that make sense?
I would say based on how you think. Because you have a fixed mindset based on your thoughts. So basically, if you feel like you're stuck and you cannot grow, that means you have a fixed mindset. But if you feel like you can grow in the area, you do have a growth mindset. However, you may have a growth mindset for yourself, but have a fixed mindset for other people in your life. So you can still have a fixed mindset, but in most narcissistics, characteristics of narcissists may feel like they can grow, but everybody else, can't grow. So it really depends on also mental health disorders too. So it's a whole lot of so there's no wrong, there's not a fixed answer for that question, but it's an awesome question. So it really depends on the person. However, I'm able to identify, I don't base it on a person overall just having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. I would say based on the conversation or based on that situation, you responded from a growth mindset.
Oh, okay.
Because there are areas that we are fixed and there are areas that we have a growth. There's areas I purposely have a fixed mindset in based off my my Christian beliefs, for an example. There's things I may hear and so I'm like, oh, good to hear, but I won't dab too much in it because I have decided to be fixed in that area.
Oh, wow. That is very good. Talk to us about because you talk about like that voice and how you change your language. Talk to me about what are your thoughts about the words change versus transform?
That is so good. Transform is when you already on the other side. Change is when you're in the process. So when I'm changing, so I'm still fighting that fixed mindset language. So I'm changing it. So I'm changing it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm transforming, I don't have to continue to change because I'm already there.
Oh, I love it. Thank
Ooh,
you.
Oh, you're
I love
welcome.
that.
That was a
Oh,
great
I love
question.
that. I love that. Oh my goodness.
Content.
I love the 4 steps. And we do understand when the way you phrased it that it has a lot to do where a person is and what step they start at. Because we do understand. Sometimes I know I can speak for myself. When you have a formula, quote unquote, a formula, if it's not in that formula, you think, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah.
But we want everybody to know that there is hope in this area. You can
Yes.
change in this area. You can be transformed, as Catherine
Mm.
just spoke about. You can be transformed in this area, so we can all move. So what I would like to do is for you to give some. Catherine, do you have other questions?
I do, but I'm want us to wrap this one. I do. Of course, I want to get to her leaving hope with our viewers. So,
And that's where we were going with that, Nancy. At least some hope. Say a couple of sentences that actually encourage. You've already encouraged our socks off, but leave us with a couple of words to help encourage our viewers.
Wow. I want you to know, anyone that's listening, that wherever you are, you have a choice to change. You have a choice to grow. But at the end of the day, you have to believe that it's possible. So my hope today, even after hearing this wonderful conversation, that you understand that you can have a growth mindset. And we all in process. And some of us may be closer to our goals, and some of us may have time and took the time to build our team to help us have a growth mindset, because some of us cannot do it by ourselves. We need different people in our lives to help us have a growth mindset, like having a therapist, or even having a coach in different areas, or even having that friend that encourage you, but having your team, having your tribe that will help you grow and be who you believe you called to be. So if you are in a place, regardless of where you are, I don't care if it's dealing with your mental health, I don't care if it's dealing with your finances, I don't care if it's with your goals, your life goal, or your purpose, I want you to know you have a choice. And at the end of the day, it's all up to you. And as well as understanding every thought that comes in, you have the ability to replace it with a completely different thought. And that is growth mindset.
That is great. Thank you so much for that, Nancia. Thank you so much for all that valuable information. If you want to learn more about Georgia Center for Opportunity, please visit our website at georgiaopportunity.org, or you can catch us across all platforms on social media. Thank you again, and don't forget to like, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing you next week.